Welcome back to the channel for another video. Today, as always, we're here in the seat talking about Wrexham Football Club. Today, I've got possibly one of my favourite videos that I produce on the channel over the course of the seasons that Wrexham do play, whether it's the January transfer window or the summer transfer window. Today, I'm going to be bringing you 5 players I think we should go out and sign this summer. It was a very hard task, of course. We've made the step up from the National League to League 2 before, and then League 2 to League 1, and it was quite easy in terms of picking players out that I think would be, a good fit for Wrexham going forward. But we're in the Championship now. We've got big ambitions. We've got a reported £30 million budget, and I had 14 players on my list, and I had to narrow it down to 5. So it was a very tough job. And as well, I cannot thank you enough for 27,000 subscribers. I cannot believe I've said those words. So if you would like to see more Wrexham content, then the subscribe button is down there if you would like to subscribe. So I cannot thank you enough for that. And without further ado, let's get talking on my first pick. So we're starting things off really ambitious, but I'm sure that will be the theme for Wrexham over the course of the summer. My first pick, Alfie Dowie. Now, Alfie Dowie is a left wing back, of course, who currently plays and is under contract at League One side and recently relegated from the Championship, Luton Town. Now, if we're looking at Dowie, the general football fan will understand that he is likely to leave the Hatters, obviously this season, after he proved to be, could be playing for a top end, if not be a useful asset for a Premier League side after, those really good seasons he had in the first season when they got promoted to the Premier League, and when they were in the Premier League, he had a really successful season. Left wing back is an area which I think Wrexham will recruit in the upcoming transfer window, and if we're looking for options on that left hand side lower down, of course if we're looking from League 1 to League 2, no one really comes close to Alfie Dowie. And if I'm being honest, and I'm sure a lot of EFL fans will agree, if Dowie is to stay at Luton Town, he will be by far the best player in League 1 by a country mile. You're looking at his stats from the Premier League season: 10 goals and assists, 70 chances created, 89 successful crosses, 33 successful dribbles. That was whilst playing against some of the best players on that right flank in the world. He produced some really good numbers and was really that spark in that Luton team, which, let's be honest, everyone had them to go down. They had no right to, take it as long as they did, because they were overachieving massively with the squad they had. They had a really good thing going there, and Alfie Dowie was probably their performer of the season. I remember there were shouts of him being in the England squad, and you look at his age, Dowie's just 25 years old. This would be an incredible investment if Wrexham Football Club were to go out and get him. He wouldn't come at a cheap price at all. I believe he did sign a long-term contract for Luton Town last summer, so there's going to be a hefty price if we do want to sign Dowie. Like I said, being 25 years old, he's in the peak of his career now, and Luton will be looking at this thinking, if they do want to sell, a team is going to have to come in and pay a massive price for him, because they're going to be reluctant to let him go. He's just signed a new contract, but like I've also said, we're looking at a £30 million budget this season. Could Wrexham go out and splash the cash, maybe get a £7-8 million deal for Dowie? Because in all honesty, he is Championship quality and he is Premier League quality, and you're looking 25 years old, he would be a player that would run that flank down the left hand side for us for many years to come. We're looking at attacking wise, he is predominantly a left wing back, so his defensively and attacking wise, he is so good. We've seen him, like I said, multiple times in the Premier League. He's very solid all across the pitch, and looking at the highlights as well, his crossing ability was an absolute joke. From dead balls, during play, just in general, his crossing ability to put it on the plate to Carlton, Morris, Adebayo at front for Luton. They had a field day when they were up front in the Premier League. So if we could get someone who could partner Sam Smith that is going to put those chances away 9 times out of 10, Dowie will have a field day, and Dowie will register 10-15 assists for us, because his crossing ability is one of his main attributes. And I think, if we could get a player of Dowie's quality in down that left hand side, that would give us a real boost in the squad. And I think we look at that as fans and think, this could be one of our biggest signings in years, and this could be a massive part in Wrexham possibly kicking on and remaining ambitious. I've just talked on strikers that could get on the end of crosses 9 times out of 10, and strikers that can put the ball in the back of the net, one of those being Charlie Kelman. Now, this is probably a name you all expected, because Charlie Kelman is a striker we would love to see in a Wrexham shirt, and I'm sure the words I've just said apply for most fans of clubs across all of the EFL, because Kelman has had one hell of a season in a Leyton Orient shirt. Now, he's actually out of contract this summer from parent club QPR. Whether they'll offer him a new contract or not, I'm sure they'd be stupid not to, but it's a question as to whether Kelman wants to go back to the R's and sign that new deal in the Championship. So If all things carry on like this, he's set to become a free agent, and his stats say it already. 27 goals in all competitions, League One's top goal scorer ahead of a £20 million striker for a team that won the league by 110 plus points. And he has single-handedly led Leyton Orient and led the line for Leyton Orient as they are one win away from the Championship. So he's had one hell of a season. The link-up play between him and Jamie Donnelly has been sublime, and you're just looking at Kelman. He is that fox in the box, and whether it's a goal from outside the box, whether it's a cross in there, he is in the right place at the right time. He's a natural finisher. He's a poacher, you could say. And I don't think much really needs to be said about Kelman more than that. You know, he's formed, like I said, a great attacking partnership with Spurs loanee Donnelly. His goal scoring ability as well is just so naturally, just looks like a natural goal scorer, and one that is ready to take that step up, whether it's the Championship for a team, you know, that's in the bottom half of the table, or whether he wants to push on and possibly be a starter for a team that's going to finish in the top half of the Championship. And looking at his goals from his time at Leyton Orient this season, there's so many to look through. There's a catalogue of them, but the main thing you can look at it is he's playing with confidence, and whether that is down to the players that he's playing around, the manager, or the way the manager sets up to get the best out of Charlie Kelman, we really don't know. But either way, he is having an incredible season in a Leyton Orient shirt, and whatever Richie Wellens is doing to that Leyton Orient team is working an absolute treat for Charlie Kelman, and he is more than ready for that step up to the Championship. And I think if he was to come to Wrexham, you're looking at a player, like I've just said, in Alfie Dowie. If he could provide those crosses for Kelman, you're looking at Barnett and Dowie on one side, whether it's Barnett or Longman, putting those crosses into the box, and if we bring an attacking playmaker in that is going to thread those balls through, if Kelman just gets that service in a Wrexham shirt, he will bring those numbers from Leyton Orient to, you know, the Championship for Wrexham 100%. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you like to see Charlie Kelman sign? If we could get him on a free as well, even better. So when I was looking at what Wrexham need in terms of positions and the type of player, this is a player who I think would suit what we need really well in this Wrexham setup. Harvey Nibs. Now, Harvey Nibs is a striker turned midfielder. From his days at Cambridge United, where he used to lead the line, to a now midfielder at Reading. The switch has turned out to be an absolute treat and has turned him into a completely new player since signing for Reading. And after a really good season for the Royals this season, I would love to see Wrexham go out there and make a really ambitious approach for Nibs, because I really like him. I really like him as a player. Wrexham fans, we know all about him. In that 2-0 away defeat earlier on in this season, he scored a penalty and he got an assist against us, and he's played centre midfield for Reading this season, but he is a key figure in the final third and their goal output. You're looking at his stats, he's registered 20 goals and assists for Reading this season, which is the 6th most across the whole of League One for a centre midfielder who, you know, is showing his attributes are working really well attacking wise, and he can just run the midfield really well. He's got the legs to. He's still relatively young, and if I was Phil Parkinson, I would be 100% looking at a midfielder who has got the legs in the midfield, who's relatively young but then has got that sense of experience by having 3 or 4 seasons under his belt, whether that's in League 2 or the Championship, and who also, you know, just brings that attacking threat to us. And like I said, he's still relatively young at 26 years old. This is when he's going to be in his peak, and he is easily showing why he could be a useful asset to a team in the Championship. And like Charlie Kelman, I think there's a player there that is more than ready for that step up to the Championship. And if we're looking at the Wrexham squad in terms of midfielders who carry a natural attacking threat, Elliot Lee is only that player that can really play that attacking midfield role. We've seen, you know, Ollie Rathbone, he's produced numbers this season, going forward, of course, goals and assists, but if you're looking at someone who links the strikers up well and is mostly utilised as that threat in the final third, we are very, very limited, and I don't think it would do us any harm in bringing in a type of player like Harvey Nibs, who can probably play that centre attack midfield role, can play in that flat midfield too, whether it's alongside Rathbone or a Matty James type player. But we're signing a midfielder, if we are to get Harvey Nibs, that would be linking up the play really well. It would be so beneficial to the setup, to the strikers, to the possible goal output in the Championship next season. And with him also playing with Sam Smith at Reading, could Sam Smith, you know, sort of just tempt him to come to Wrexham? We really don't know, but I think last season we really struggled without a natural playmaker to, like I said, increase the goal output and increase the goals that the strikers did score, because at times it looked like we were heavily reliant on, you know, certain type of ways of playing football. But if we had Harvey Nibs, you know, a player that can sort of link the play up really well and just contribute with the goals going forward and contribute with the assists, I think he'd be a really good addition. But Reading, they've got new owners now. They're in no position to be wanting to sell their key players, so I think a big transfer fee would be needed. Sam Smith came to us for £2 million when they were in, a really bad state, so I don't dare wish to think what the transfer fee would be for Harvey Nibs. We'd probably be looking at 3, 4, maybe even £5 million, because there is a really good player there and one that I think would suit this Wrexham setup really, really well. So back to looking at defensive options now. Shawn Rowan is my next pick. Now Rowan is of course playing for League One side Lincoln City and is set to leave on a free transfer when his contract does expire in a few weeks' time. He's been offered a new contract by Lincoln, but is set to reject it and move on to possibly a top-end League One side and maybe even a Championship side. And in my opinion, if we're looking at this from a Wrexham point of view, it could be a really good pickup for us, especially on a free, and especially after the past few seasons he's had at Lincoln, considering his age and the experience that he has gained under his belt and the impressive performances he has put in. Now looking at Rowan, he is 21 years old, and you would not think this by looking at his stats. He's made over 150 appearances for Lincoln City at age just 21. It seems like Rowan has been around for a long time, and this season he's proved to be a really consistent performer in the back line for Lincoln City, and every season he played in a Lincoln shirt, he just seems to be getting better and better. And if we're looking at the position that Rowan does play, he's played left back for Lincoln this season, but by the sounds of it, he doesn't quite have the attacking qualities and the attacking threat, to make that killer cross or that killer pass, to be playing on that left wing to, run the flank for Wrexham. So a lot of people are saying he'd be a really good addition for a team that plays a back five for like Wrexham, a flat back three. Rowan playing left centre back, of course, because he is left footed. Due to his good passing ability, he would suit that centre back role more, and on a free, you really couldn't turn this transfer down. 21 years old, over 150 appearances, plenty of League One experience under his belt, and is ready for that, that next chapter now, to play in a team that is going to be ambitious, that is going to possibly, like I said, there's League One sides after him, possibly go out and win League One, or a team in the Championship where he's going to further, get experience on his CV and take him to that next chapter. And I think Wrexham could do with another centre-back. It wouldn't harm us in bringing in another centre-back. Of course, we've got 3 nailed-on starters for next season, in my opinion: Dan Scarr, Max Cleworth and Lewis Brunt. But if we're looking at bringing competition into this team, and with 21-year-old Rowan, on the radar of a lot of clubs, I think he could learn a lot in this Wrexham setup and could continue improving as a player and bring a lot to our back line. So talking now on my next player, Johnny Kenny. Now, a player I've spoke about on the channel before for potential targets for Wrexham, and someone that has had a really promising year across 2 different clubs in 2 different countries. I don't think Kenny would be a priority to Wrexham, and I think a lot of people watching this will disagree with me, but personally I would love to see how Kenny would do in this Wrexham setup, especially under Phil Parkinson. Now, Kenny is a young 21-year-old striker who spent last season on loan at Irish side Shamrock Rovers, where he did go on to score 20 goals in 39 appearances. 5 of those goals did come in the UEFA Europa Conference League, and 2 came in the Champions League qualifying. So even at 21 years old, he's got that experience in a different country, he's got the experience in Europe, and 20 goals in 39 games. We're going to be talking now on him returning to his parents' side, Glasgow Celtic, where he's come back and has only featured for 145 minutes of football, recording 1 goal and 1 assist. But he's been in the squad for Celtic as they go into the final part of the season. I think he's made 9 appearances in total, being on the bench for the 2-legger against Bayern Munich. So he's gaining that experience. He's not getting the starts that he wants under his belt, whether he's ready for that or not, which makes me think, this could be the wrong timing if Wrexham were to go in for Kenny. He might be more suited to a League One or League Two move, or possibly go back into Ireland, or possibly, another SPFL side. But I'm a massive fan of Kenny, and I think give him maybe 1 or 2 more years to continue building that experience up and to continue, getting developed into the men's game and becoming that goal scorer, which I'm more than certain he's going to be. And whether Glasgow Celtic are looking at this thinking they want to sell him for a side for a fee, I don't think they will, because they've got a real gem on the cards, and there is a lot of potential for Kenny to be a good striker, plenty of running up front. He's just got that natural, instinct in front of goal. He's a prolific goal scorer, and whether, he can go to Celtic next season and, maybe break into that first team, keep on knocking on the door of Adam Eder and, continue to score goals. And if he can break into that Celtic first team in pre-season, then I think there's no looking back now, because he is going to be a very good striker. And if Wrexham were to go in for Kenny, I would be happy, but you're looking at this in terms of we're in the Championship now. It's a competitive league. If we were in League One, I'd be all over the signing of Johnny Kenny, but we're in the Championship now. We're probably going to be looking at players, you know, on loan from the Premier League coming down in terms of strikers, and not players that have only proven themselves in an Irish league. So we really don't know, but it would be a good signing for any League One side in my opinion. And to be honest, with the affiliation that Wrexham do have with Celtic, I do kind of hope that he stays at Celtic and becomes a really top striker for them. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and let me know, of course, one player you would like to see signed for Wrexham in the upcoming transfer window. There's been some stupid names being linked with the club. I've tried to remain sort of realistic as possible, but I'm sure we'll see one or two signings that will completely blow our mind. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Make sure to subscribe, like, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in another video. Take care, guys. Up the promotion winning Reds, and I'm going to say every video, up the Championship Reds. Take care, guys.